What's up, y'all? My name is Dan. So, Ethiopian Airlines is the largest airline in Africa, far surpassing any other airlines in passenger numbers, fleet, destinations, and routes. Ethiopian's main hub is located in Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia. From there, the airline has a bunch of flights all over Africa, as well as long haul flights to Europe, Asia, and North America. Besides that, the airline also offers a large amount of domestic flights to several destinations in Ethiopia. Well, how is it that the airline has been doing so well in the past few years, after growing from being a rather small airline a few decades ago? Back then, South African Airways was the largest airline in Africa, offering destinations all over Africa and connections via Johannesburg. But in recent years, South Africa went through a deep downfall, mainly because of restrictions by other countries thanks to apartheid and mismanagement by more recent governments. Ethiopia took advantage of the situation of not just South Africa, but also other African airlines that collapsed during the past few decades, as well as having fewer regulations that allowed the airline to grow and become the largest airline in Africa. Ethiopian then added flights to destinations all over Africa and outside of Africa to connect passengers from Africa to the rest of the world via Addis. A few other flights and one-stop flights, with several fifth freedom flights inside of Africa and in Europe. Or there are flights to New York and Newark that stop at Lomé, where connections are possible with Lomé-based SAA Airlines. The short-lived Houston flights also stopped there before being discontinued because of the pandemic. Chicago, Toronto, and Washington flights also stop at Dublin, but they are non-stop on their way back. Athens continues to Moscow Domodedovo, and a few Southeast Asian destinations also have stops. Addis has a very good location. Maybe it's not the most centrally located in Africa, but it's in a very good place to connect most of Africa to Asia, including China, which is a very large market for Ethiopia because of the investments that China has been doing in Africa during the past few years. Addis also connects Eastern and Southern Africa to North America and Europe, which are also huge markets, thanks to the huge African diaspora in these countries. Not just that, but despite Ethiopia being a bit far east, the fact that there are very few connections inside of Africa by local or foreign airlines means that a lot of passengers are willing to fly into Ethiopia from places like North America and backtrack to West Africa because oftentimes Ethiopia has the best connections around. Because Ethiopian often offers one or two stop flights, otherwise, you need to fly with maybe two or more stops. Ethiopian's connectivity is also supported by their codeshare agreements, including airlines that Ethiopia has a stake on, such as SAA Airlines and Malawian Airlines, that offer connections into former African destinations, as well as their Star Alliance partners that allow for connections all over the world. Some of these codeshare partners include South African Airways, Turkish Airlines, United Airlines, Air Canada, Lufthansa, TAP Portugal, and others. Their diverse fleet of aircraft also allowed them to open up new and unique destinations. Their huge wide-body fleet of A350s, 777s, and 787s, with the A350 and 777s flying on the busiest routes inside of Africa, as well as some in Asia, Europe, and North America. The 787s are used a lot for most of the route network in all continents. I guess you can say that the 787 is the backbone of Ethiopia's long-haul operations, while the 737 is the backbone for short-haul operations, flying all over Africa as well as parts of the Middle East and Europe. The Bombardier Q400, thanks to its efficiency as a regional aircraft, operates most of Ethiopia's somewhat large domestic network, as well as a few flights to Somalia. They have some 767s, but they're being phased out and some are being turned into freighter aircraft. Speaking of freight, Ethiopia's cargo subdivision that operates cargo flights all over the world, including in Africa, which lacks cargo capacity in comparison to other countries. So Ethiopian carries a lot of the cargo within Africa, including a lot of medical supplies that needed to be shipped during the pandemic, which actually allowed Ethiopian to stay profitable during the pandemic, during which the airline actually converted some passenger aircraft into freighters to fly the huge amount of cargo needed to be flown during the pandemic. Another thing that allowed the airline to stay profitable is the charter flights that the airline operated, mainly in the form of repatriation flights to several places in Africa, not just Ethiopia. In the future, Ethiopia could end up adding more African destinations because aviation will still keep growing in Africa after the pandemic. But destinations outside of Africa are possible, such as flights to Australia, Taiwan, or Montreal, for example. Hopefully, most of the pre-pandemic flights will also return, including the short-lived flights such as Bangalore, Madrid, and Houston. I guess there's also the possibility of them ordering the Airbus A220, which is something they've hinted at before, not to replace the Boeing 737, but to operate thinner short-haul flights all throughout Africa. Some of the triangular routes flown by 737 could be operated by these smaller planes and flown separately, while the 737s are flown on different routes. The extended range version of the 77 that Boeing is proposing could also be on the cards for Ethiopia thanks to the higher altitude that doesn't allow for very long direct flights. They previously hinted at ordering 777X and the A350-1000, but because of the corona, I don't think they'll go in that direction. Ethiopian cargo will most likely keep growing as well, so they'll likely need to order more freighter aircraft in the near future as well. Thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If y'all got any feedback, questions, or any comments, y'all can leave a comment. That's all I've got to say, and I'll see y'all later.